What's going on, everyone? In today's video, we're going to do some live online book arbitrage sourcing. We're going to try to find books on eBay and Amazon that we can flip on Amazon. And the whole goal here is to find undervalued books, which means find a book that historically sells for maybe 50 or 60 or 70 that we can pick up for about 15 or 20. So that's kind of the goal of today's sourcing. So if you're somebody who's watching this afterwards, then maybe skip ahead a couple of minutes just so we can get right into sourcing. But with that said, let's get started. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to source books on eBay using a software called Flipmine. And let's go ahead and just kind of show you generally how that works. We'll go ahead and set up some filters right now, but basically this is what Flipmine looks like. And you can set a whole bunch of different parameters. So the first thing you probably want to set is, if you're looking for a book specifically, you should add that rule. If you're looking for other products, you could totally look for like DVDs, board games, electronics. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff you can look at. And I specifically look at used books, so I'm going to add the used book rule. Now, sales rank is really important because we want to find books that do sell. I mean, I tend to look at longer tail books, but we still want to make sure that the books are selling. So I'm going to go less than 2.5 million. And I'm going to add that rule. And we're going to do that based upon, let's filter that not over a 60-day moving average, but let's do that over a 180-day moving average. And let's see, what else should we put up here? We have an Amazon FBA to FBM difference. Interesting. So that means there must be like a little bit of a prime bump or something like that. I guess we could play around with that filter. Let's go with Amazon price. So let's have the Amazon price greater than $70. Well, that rule. Let's see what else that we should. What else should we put here? We have keywords that we can include. We have ROI. We have profit. Now the ROI and profit is not going to be exactly accurate because it's going to be hard for Flipmine to determine the true value of a book at Amazon. So that might be a little bit difficult. But let's just say we have eBay best offer is enabled. So we're going to say, yes, that's true. And then we're also going to say that the eBay price is between. So we're going to say it's at least $35 to $50. We're going to say that. So we're going to try to send offers today. So we're doing a little bit different today. We're going to try to send some offers on books that are listed on eBay that might be a little bit below the Amazon market. But maybe if we send some offers, maybe we can get lucky and find something that's good. And so we don't really need to do anything with profit ROI. I think that's good. So let's see if we got anyone in the chat. We do got some people in the chat here. We got Josh. Good morning, man. Good to see you. Hey, Cisco. What's up, man? Good to see you. It's been a little while since I've seen you. So hope everything's going well with you, man. Scott, good morning. Good to see you. Optimus. Hey, I made it. Hello. Good to see everyone here. All right, let's do some sourcing here. Let's see what came up with these filters. Let's see, calculate profit. We're not even calculating profit with this. All right. Right now, you see that this red box is actually something I'm gated in. So the way that you do that is you come up here to settings, and you can click this button that says automatically check gated status. That's just so that you're not looking at books that you're gated in. And yeah, see if I can go back. Okay. I'm also going to save this filter. So I'm going to come down here where it says save searches, and I'm going to add this new search. I'm going to call this the Joji Stream filter. Why not? I don't know what else to call it. Okay, so now that we have that saved, let's get rolling. Let's make sure I'm still sharing my screen. Very cool. We got Jan in the house. Good morning. And good morning all as well. What's going on? All right. Let's come back here so we can get started. All right. So really what I'm looking for is a difference in price between the eBay price and the infer lowest offer. And again, these are all best offer enabled. So the idea is that potentially we can send an offer on a book that's maybe just slightly below value, below the Amazon price, and then maybe we can snag a copy. So this says complimentary copy, not for resale. So we're gonna want to definitely not buy that book. We got Digimon here, 48 on eBay and potentially $80 on Amazon. So let's see. Maybe we can send an offer on this. I could totally see this being worth like $80 because I think Digimon is like a really old. It was a really old game. I remember back when I was a little boy, it was like competing with Pokemon. I think that's what was going on. Okay, so this book is interesting. It definitely doesn't sell a ton. However, when it has sold, it looks like it's generally selling above $40. Like there's a one period in time where probably Keepa deals has dropped down to 25, so that would have been a decent deal. And if we kind of look at 2016 to 2021, I mean, this book is, can sell up to $25, but also has been really cheap. Like, look at this. You could have picked this book up for about $1.97. So what I'm going to do is track this book because I don't really think I can get low enough on this book where I'd be happy to be in it. I think that guy has it priced probably at what he should price it at. So I think it'll sell there. But what I do want to pick this book up at is a time where this book went all the way down to about a couple bucks. So You know, honestly, if this book ever got to like even 15 bucks free shipping, I probably would buy it. So I'm gonna go ahead and track that book. So let's move on to the next one. Looks like we have another Final Fantasy, or we have another game guide, Final Fantasy. We have actually two of them. It's probably the same seller. Even this one, the Zelda one, probably also the same seller. So let's see if any of these are good. It's usually a good sign if someone's watching it. That means either someone else is interested in it or another flipper is also interested in it. So you'd have to pay about 40 bucks for this. And let's see, over on Amazon, we have an $80 buy box, which is great. But the used price is also right around 40. So you can actually see I am already tracking this book for $5 in used condition. Yeah, this generally sells between, you know, $30 and $40. It looks like it could even go up to 60. Couple sales right around 60. Again, what would you have to buy this at to be profitable? I mean, you probably want it at like 15 bucks. So I would doubt the person would go down that low. So I'm probably gonna go and pass on this. But yeah, that's definitely a book that if you found it on the wild for a few bucks, that'd be a score. All right, we got 45 bucks for this book here. Ooh, $100 use price on Amazon. All right, this book is really interesting because in the past it was selling for a lot cheaper. Like between August and December, basically you have a lot of sales rank drops, which means it was very popular during that time. And one of the reasons for that is it was a lot cheaper. You could have picked it up on the low end for about like 20 and on the high end maybe about 50. Now recently, you can actually see that this book has sold for over $100 because the lowest use price was 112 when the sales rank is dropping. So quite interesting. If we go back in time, you actually see that it also has sold that high in the past before, but probably really this thing is worth right around like 50 bucks. That'd be my guess. And obviously the price is going to ebb and flow with the offer count. Like here's a great example. See how the offer count is really high here, right around like 35, and the price was right around 30. And then all of a sudden this offer count takes not a nosedive, but very consistently over like a 6-month period goes down. And then we see the used price go up. So this is a book that I would say if I were to sell it on at the cheapest, I'd probably want to sell for is like 60 bucks. But depending on the offer count, maybe getting up to 100 for it. So notice that right now the offer count is really low. That's a great sign. And this person wants 45 plus $4 shipping for it. So they're all in, you'd be all in 49 bucks for it. Definitely more than I'd want to spend on this. But honestly, I'd probably pick this up for 30 bucks. I think we could flip it for like 80 bucks right now. So I'm gonna go and send an offer, and I want to pay 30 for it. You know, I'm just gonna give him a $25.50 offer, which is probably too low for him, but it's all just, you know, name of the game, sending offers and, you know, seeing what you can do from there. We got Victor in the house. How's it going, Victor? Let's make some money. Go check out Victor's channel, or not his channel, his Facebook group online. Victor, if you could put it in the chat, that'd be great. Also, go check out Josh's YouTube channel as well. And we got, let's see. Do I buy acceptable books? I personally avoid them typically. That's a great question. It depends. Sometimes I will pick them up if the condition note actually makes it seem like the book's in good condition. Or sometimes if the acceptable condition copy is just such a great deal, and maybe if I can see photos of it and it actually isn't too bad, sometimes I'll buy it. But generally, I try not to buy them. Victor says, another good thing on eBay to look for is someone who took their own pictures. Usually those people are willing to accept offers. Yeah, 100%. Definitely, when I see those pictures on eBay that of the actual product, that's usually a sign that that person's willing to actually deal with you and actually maybe accept an offer. So we'll see if that person's willing to accept the offer. One thing that we could also do with this book is also track it, because there are periods of time where it does get to a point where it's like crazy cheap. Like you could have bought this book for 10 bucks on May 12th. What was that, 2020? And there's multiple periods of time where you see this book actually drop that low. So I'm going to also track this book for, I'm going to track it for $20 free shipping over the next 10 years. And if we get notified, then that'd be great. All right, let's see if we can find anything else. We got Atlas of Rare City. We have the Legend of Zelda guide. We have an interactive teacher's edition. This could potentially be good. Teacher's editions for high school books a lot of the times are worth quite a bit of money. Okay, Atlas of Rare City maps, 40 bucks plus $7.50 shipping. Okay, over here on Amazon, we could actually pick it up cheaper. So if we were going to buy this, we'd buy it on Amazon. Now, this graph looks really weird because this collectible offer price for some reason is $2,400. So I'm just curious to know why this person is pricing it that high. Yeah, they have 2 copies. They're just repriced her as completely gone awry. So we're going to get rid of the collectible offer so this looks a little bit better. And also the new offers are kind of a bit high as well. So we're going to get rid of the new offers. This looks a little bit better. So this book is selling basically at around 20 bucks. It can go as low as a couple dollars, but I would say the most that this book has probably sold for is maybe up to $40. But generally, this is probably worth right around like 20, 25 bucks. So definitely, I think this person is honestly maybe even priced a little bit too high. So I'm going to go and get rid of that one. 42 bucks for this Zelda book. In the buy box, we have $115 and the lowest price on Amazon, $70. Again, same thing with this book. Generally, this game guide is worth probably in the 30 to 50 range, but it is a little bit higher again because of that offer count. Look, back here in the beginning of the year, we're a lot higher. We were right around like 25 to 30 in the offer count. Now you can see we're much lower. We're only at 9. And so one of the reasons why the price of this has probably gone up a little bit is because of that offer count, diving down. Now at a higher offer count, this is still selling around 30, which is good. So if you could pick this up for about 30, I think that'd be a good deal, considering that at a significantly higher offer count, you could probably still sell it for what you bought it for. So again, you'd want to be in this for 30. So I mean, that'd be at the most as well. And you'd have to exploit the buy box a little bit. So what I want to do is just look at some of the prime offers to see what they could potentially be moving at. So I'm going to click this little data tab above the Keepa graph and then click the offers tab. And there's a couple of different things I'm going to select here. I'm first going to select prime offer. Then I'm going to click over here on the right, include historical offer. That's going to show us any prime seller that was in stock that's no longer in stock. And then I'm going to look at this over the last 6 months, over the last 180 days. Not really interested in new because I'm selling used books. And you can see there's 177 rows. So what this means is that over the last 90 days, there's been 177 different sellers on this listing as different prime sellers in this listing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take a look at the stock history as well as the price of this book. So you'll notice that anybody who has the stock quantity that of 1 today, that's somebody who's still in stock. So we can see that the person in stock here is, let me go and move this over to the right, is we have Grace with both. She's basically the only person in stock as a prime seller. So that should actually match here. If we come up here, filter this out by prime, you can see there's only 2 people, prime sellers, right? We have Grace here, 1,000 plus in stock. That's kind of weird. That's probably not actually true. That's just a placeholder. But the real value add, I think, at the offers tab here is looking at what price did that seller go out of stock at. So this person went out of stock, looks like maybe May 19th. I think that's when it was. And their price that was last recorded by Keepa was about 76 bucks. So, just thinking logically, making an educated guess, they probably sold it for 76 bucks. This is a person went out of stock at 70, 50, 50. So what I'm seeing is in the last 6 months, there's been about 4 or 5 people who've sold it around the $60 to $70 mark. So there's probably not enough margin on this book for me to want to even send an offer on that one. But it's definitely an interesting book. It's something that we could track because, again, look down here, it got as low as $13. So you could have maybe picked it up for about like 17 or 18. So I'm going to go and track this book for 18, free shipping. And I probably would pick up a copy at that price. All right, let's come back here, see if we got any other. When I track books, I set the acceptable price to 1 so I don't get ping for those. Yeah, there's one other way that you could do that, Jan. Let me come back here. One other way you could do that is, let me go and just use this book or this Keepa listing here. So if you're tracking a product, what you could use is, let's see. Advanced. Okay, yeah. So what you could do right now, I'm on the basic. Like right here, I have just the basic toggle for tracking, but there's also an advanced and a pro toggle that you could use to track books. So if you go to advanced, you could say include shipping costs, and then you could actually get rid of the warehouse deals. So you could just have it be empty, or not the warehouse deals. Use acceptable. You can get rid of it completely. So what that would mean is that if the price got below 13, but it wasn't an acceptable, if it was an acceptable condition, you wouldn't get notified. So you could do that if you want as well. So I'm not sure if you're interested in that, but that's possible. And Jalen says, why are you tracking the books at their lowest points? That's a great question. Because I want to buy the book when it's below market value. I want to buy it when it's on discount, right? Because Amazon's not a perfect marketplace. There's so many sellers and there's so many people who honestly don't price logically at all. And there's so many big booksellers with repricers that are always competing for price that it's really quite often that a book can become significantly undervalued for a short period of time. So what we want to do is capture the short periods of time when we can buy a book for significantly less than what it's actually worth, so that when we buy it, we can just sell it back on Amazon for what it should have been sold for. So in some of the past examples, like we have a book that could sell for $40 to $50, but there have been very short periods of time over the last 10 years where the price at, for a week or a couple days was $5 or $10, and that would have been a great book to pick up then, because we could have bought it for 5 or 10 and then sold it for 40 or 50. And so that's how my business model works: is buy books when they're the cheapest ever, but also those books need to be books that usually hold some great value so that we can make money. Optimus says, I don't put anything in the acceptable box when tracking. Yeah, I think that's kind of what we were just doing right there, I think. So very cool. We have this interactive science book. We can pick it up for about $35 here over on Amazon. Let's go back up to the page here. Let me go and refresh this as well. So we have $104 in the buy box, and then we also have the lowest offer price being $28. So this difference in price between the lowest used price, that's called the merchant offer, and the buy box price, which usually is an FBA offer, that's called the prime bumps. Right now, it's about 3 times more expensive if you want to buy this prime than get it from a merchant seller. So yeah, definitely that person is trying to exploit the buy box a lot. So this book looks to be selling best when it's right around $28. So we could say it's probably what its worth is, although it has sold higher than that. Like their sales rank drops when the used price went up to 50. And in the past, 2021, 2022, it has sold up to $100. So this book has precedent of selling for that much. Now, this book came out in 2011, so it's been out for over a decade. And as recent as, a year ago or even 2 years ago, it could have sold up to $100. And when that did happen, notice that the offer count was a lot lower than it is today. The offer count generally is quite higher than in the past. But I am tracking this book actually for $13. So, excuse me, my voice. But this person does have a best offer enabled. See, if you were to buy it right now, you'd have to spend $35. I would say if we could get this book for $20, that'd probably be a good deal, because you could probably sell this book for like $60 pretty easily. So if you could pick it up for $20, that'd be a nice deal. And generally, the way that I think about picking up books on Amazon is if you can buy a book for about a third of what you could reasonably sell it for, then generally I think that's a good deal. So let's see. This has a little bit of seasonality. Maybe in August, September, you can see the sales rank is a little bit better. And maybe even in January a little bit, you can see the sales rank gets a little bit lower there as well. Now, we could also just check eBay from the Keepa listing, see if potentially there are other listings here. So let's see. Looks like 30 is the lowest offer. All right. This book does look to be in decent condition just from first inspection. But obviously, take a look at all the pictures, make sure everything looks good here. And, I would say I'd want to be into this for $20. So, I'd be willing to pay, it'd be 15, it'd be a little over 20, it'd be $20.75. I'd honestly be willing to pay it, because I just know that this book is like a high school book, right? It's teacher's edition. So a lot of times the person that's gonna be buying this is like a school. Schools generally aren't too worried about price, honestly. They kind of just buy whatever. And right now the buy box is 104. I think it's a little inflated. I think I could come in at 60 and probably sell that. So let's get rid of that. Okay, let's see if there's anything else here that catches our eye. We have a Dungeons and Dragons book, Warhammer book here. We got any other questions? No. All right, let's come back. Okay, so we have a Dungeons and Dragons book. We can pick this up. Shoes, that shipping is crazy. $15.60. So we're looking at basically $45 to buy this book. And over here on Amazon, it looks like the lowest price is $70. So that's good news. And the kind of baseline price of this book is right around $45. Notice though that at a high offer count of 32, this book was still selling for about $44. And even at an offer count of 30, it has sales rank drops of $60. So that's really good news, because today we're at a really low offer count. There's not very many people selling this book. And you can see the price has gone up a little bit, basically right around $50. Now, interestingly, somebody came in stock in new condition at 60, and you can see that basically sold out really quickly. So yeah, I mean, this is a book that has historical value of selling up to 70. That's just as the lowest merchant offer. It's I mean, this was buy boxing at 73. You can see same seller Grace was in stock in this book, went out of stock at 73. So she probably sold it for 73 as well. Yeah, so this probably could sell $60 to $70 as a prime seller, especially since the offer count of this is really low. But again, they'd want 45 bucks for this. If this was like $4 shipping, this would be a great book to send an offer on, but kind of probably too far apart on this book. But let's see in the last. So like, here's a great example of why you would track a book. You know, so this book went from $28 all the way down to $3.65 back in 2017. So, I mean, obviously, if that happened today, you would want to pick that book up immediately. That would be a great deal. Okay, we have $45 plus $4 shipping for this book. And you can see they bought it at half price books for, looks like $5 or $6. So they got a good deal on it probably. All right. Buy box is $149. Actually, that's the lowest used price is $149. So that's actually good news. Now, for books like this, see how this buy box price is up to $1,000. It's kind of skewing the graph upwards. So I'm going to get rid of the buy box use price just to make that look a little bit better on the graph. So we see quite a few sales rank drops at 35. That means that there's a decent amount of people willing to pay 35 bucks for this. Then we have a sales rank drop maybe around 40 or 50. And then the price has been quite wild. Like the use price has jumped up to $300. It's jumped up to $100. But you have to ask yourself, is the book actually selling at those prices? So it looks like this sell was probably at 50, right? Because the lowest use price was 50. As soon as the sales rank drops, then the price goes up to 61 and the offer count drops. So it probably was a $50 sell. Now this one was really interesting as well. Make sure collectibles on. Yeah, collectible. So the offer count went from 1 to 0 when the used price dropped off. So that probably sold for 100. And then again, this is why you track books. This is, this book dropped from $200 down to $9.41. And you can see that the sales rank dropped immediately. Same thing here. Price went from 70 down to 15. Sales rank dropped immediately. So those are people probably tracking the book. So there's 5 people tracking this book. People got notified with the track product feature and picked up a copy because this is, again, probably worth between $30 to $50, but potentially could sell up to 100. If we go back in time, we do see that their sales rank drops as high as 90s, as high as 70. So definitely a book that can have some pretty good value. Again, 45 is a little bit too rich for me, but I'm definitely going to track this book knowing that basically twice in May, this book got to a point where this would have been a steal to pick up. So I'm going to track this for 18 and start tracking that book. All right. Let's come back here. We got Judges 1 through 12, a new translation with introduction to and commentary. All right. So new price is $75 in this book. This would have been a great book if you're tracking to pick up here at $12. That would have been an awesome score. And what is this over here? $29 plus $5 shipping. So you'd be all into 35. Great pictures. This is actually a good eBay seller. Actually doing a good job of representing condition. So you'd be all in to this book for 35. It's too much for me considering this doesn't sell a ton. But and actually look how crazy this is. Back here in 2018, somebody in new condition tanked this all the way down to about $10. Took a while for the listing to recover as well. So I definitely wouldn't want to buy this for 35. I would say if I could get into this for like 15, that'd be great. But I think, again, we're going to be too far off. If I send a $10 offer, we'd be at 15. It's probably insulting and they probably will turn that down. But hopefully we'll be able to get a book that's maybe a little bit closer to our buy cost already. All right. Let's see. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and just refresh this filter. See if anything new's popped up. So we got a digest rifles book here. Generally, the best deals are going to be the ones that are the newest as well. So you're going to be looking at the newest offers here. So we have $35 for this book, and you had to pay about $5 shipping. So you'd be all in for $40 if you were to buy it outright. Looks like we can buy it for a similar price for right around $35. And over the last year, this book is generally worth right around $35. So this person over on eBay has listed it right about what it's worth. So I'm wondering if they're using Keepa. They could be. But again, look at this. Back in 2020, this book eroded all the way down to about $3. And in the grand scheme of the history of this book, that would have been a great deal. So this is a book that I'll track for. If this ever gets to $8 or less with shipping included, then I'll likely pick up a copy. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look into Keepa now. So we did some flip mine sourcing. Let's let's transition away from that. So you've all been watching me start to track books, and the way that you would see where those notifications are would be over here at the track product feature. So let's actually see if I've had any recent notifications and see if we can pick anything up here. So here's a book that I just got notified on. How long ago is this? Just now, actually, 6:56. So this just hit my notification right now. Actually, it looks like it has been hitting my notification over the last couple days, but looks like back here on May 27th, I put a tracker of $30. This book looks like it was selling for 30, then was out of stock. Price went up to about $300. Doesn't look like anyone bought it, but it looks like there were some sales rank drops around 80 to 90. And what is this? Practice guidelines for acute care nurse practitioners. All right, so let's take a look at it. So the spiral bound here is about $23 now. Over the last, entire history of this book, it looks like it can sell. I mean, it has sold over $150 in the past, but this is a textbook. So, I mean, this also came out in 2008, though. I don't see a new edition attached to this book. Let me zoom out a little bit here. I don't see a new edition attached to this book, which is good. So maybe let's click this little Google button to see if maybe there's a third edition floating around out there. I'm still seeing the same book here. That's $6, so that wouldn't be the new edition. So I'm thinking this actually is the newest edition of this book. And again, it came out, was it in 2008? That's what it said. 2008. So this book has been out for over a decade. Still, I mean, 2020, 2021 was still potentially selling upwards of over $100, which is kind of crazy. But recently, actually, I've seen that this offer count is starting to spike, and that's one of the reasons why the price of this is starting to go up so high. But early 2022, this book was selling great for about $80, and it's possible that I could have sold this book. It might be a replan. So $23. It'd be interesting to kind of track it a little bit longer just to see if the price of it comes down a little bit more. Let's look on eBay, lowest first. Looks like $26 is the cheapest you could pick this up for. So yeah, I might wait on the sidelines a little bit, depending on the offers, because it looks like the offer count is starting to rise a little bit. We got somebody in the buy box at 46 as a prime seller, and we have quite a bit of competition. So we have a couple of other sellers at 46. So I'm just gonna update my tracker here. Let's go to $20 or less now, and we'll go from there. But that potentially could be a good deal there. Okay, we got elementary and middle school mathematics. This is probably, well, obviously a middle school book then. All right. So you can see this has a little bit of a hump here in January. Basically, the used price of this book went from about 5 all the way up to about 40. And let's get rid of this new price. The new price is kind of making things kind of crazy on this graph. And also Amazon's price is so high. And the collectible price is so high. All right. So yeah, obviously this is a book that during September potentially can get to a decent amount where maybe it's worth flipping. And in the past, obviously this was a great middle school, elementary school book to pick up. So January is coming up. It is around the corner. It looks like it could potentially sell up to 25 or $30. Right now it's only $2.94 on Amazon. So this is something that you'd be buying for January. That's like 6 months down the road. So this is something I'd probably just keep tracking. Now there is a new edition of this book out as well. So this new edition book is one that you probably want to be paying a little bit more attention to now. You can see that it's actually a global edition, which is interesting. But yeah, this has been out for a couple of years now. This is something that might be a good idea to track. Again, you see that there's August, September seasonality and also January seasonality on that. So I'm gonna go and pass on this book for now, but that's something I'll be looking at over the next few months. Let's look at this book, New Cantonese Cooking. All right. So this is a really interesting book because at a decent offer count, 20, basically this book is worthless. It's worth right around like $5 plus shipping. Yet when the offer count dives, it could potentially, it could sell for over 100. Like this is an actual sales rank drop over $100. Make sure collectible. Yeah. So this book could sell for that much. Here's a sales rank drop at 96 as well. But since that point in time, offer count has recovered, and now it makes sense that the price of this book is basically worthless again. So it looks like this book has seasonality because in December and January, same thing happened the previous year where the price went really low, and this book went up to about 45 or 60. Back in 2020, at the end of 2019, that doesn't look like that happened. So I don't know. This book is really weird. It kind of shows seasonality sometimes, but doesn't other times. So if anything, this book, if it were to increase in price, it would do so in January. So again, this is something to be looking at maybe into the future, but definitely an interesting book there. Okay, this was sent my notification 7 hours ago, so I would have been up still. But yeah, this would have been a great deal if I was awake. So notice that this book has dropped a couple of times in the last year. So it dropped once here for $200, it looks like. In the past, this is a book I've sold multiple times in the past, so I've sold it for over $200. This is a Fundamentals of Heat and Mass Transfer, and you can see someone came in stock on this book momentarily for about 20 bucks, and obviously they're out of stock because someone else bought it because that was a great deal. And that was actually the loose leaf version of this book. You can see that there are 5 people tracking this, so you know the average tracking price is at basically 55 bucks. So someone else bought this, good for them, but would have been cool if I could have picked that book up. Okay, I'm not seeing anything else that looks too interesting. This might have been an interesting pickup. So you can see the price of this book went all the way down to about $4. So if I could have picked up a copy there, that would have been great. You can actually see somebody else did. Offer count went from 10 to 8. So probably what happened is 2 sellers, lowest price, you know, they kind of were competing against each other. They probably dropped to $3.92 and somebody bought both copies. And there's 3 people tracking this book. So yeah, because this is a book that could potentially sell up to $50. So that would have been a great pickup at that price. And even at 15 might not be too bad of a pickup either. So let's see if we got any other comments here. It's been a while since I've kind of looked back over here. We got Rosemary. What's going on, Rosemary? Hey, how's it going, Dan? I think Dan. Could be wrong there, but good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. All right. Let's go do some Keepa deals sourcing now. All right, so we're gonna go over here to Keepa deals, and let's go ahead and reset some parameters here. Let's redo this. So we'll look at used condition books, and we'll look in the book category. So let's look in the book category up there at the top. By the way, I'm just curious, does everyone, when you're looking at my cursor, does it look yellow to you? Is there like a yellow circle around it? Somebody reached out and said, hey, you should put a yellow circle around it so it's easier to track your cursor because sometimes you go too fast. I was like, oh, okay. So I don't know if people can actually see it or not. Let's look at drop intervals over the last month. Let's look at a drop percentage of at least 30%. 30% to 100%. Let's have the dollar drop be at least $25. And today's price is between, let's say we can pick it up between 0 and 35. I think those are pretty good metrics to go by. But again, just changing this a little bit in any way is going to change the results that you get quite significantly. So we'll look at a sales rank of a max of 2.5 million, and we're gonna go and sort by, let's sort by the newest first here. Okay, Rosemary says yes. Jan says yes. Press that like button. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, and let's get back over here to Keepa. All right. So we have these deals found just now. These are going to be the best deals to potentially look at. This looks pretty decent already. Okay, so this is a book that generally molecular gastronomy at home, taking culinary physics out of lab into your kitchen. This is something that I probably would buy here. So you can see the most recent sales rank drops are right around 60. And you can also see that today's price is right around 20. So again, we're trying to look at the 3X rule. The 3X rule, something I just made up right now on the spot. 3X rule says, do you reasonably assume that you can sell this book for 3 times what you're buying for it today? And in this case, the most recent sales were at 60 on this book. You can pick it up for about 20 right now. I would say you're pretty safe if you bought this book because in the last year, the cheapest it's really truly ever been has momentarily been $11, and now is bought instantly by a reseller. So at 20 bucks, this is probably a pickup. Now the problem is that this person's charging $12 shipping. This is also a new seller, so that's probably why. And then someone else has this for $29 plus $4 shipping. So it's actually looks to be cheaper than it really is, but you could pick this up for as low as 32. Would I want to pick this up at 32? Do I reasonably assume I could sell for 90? Probably not. Is it possible? Definitely. If you're inflating, if you were to inflate the prime bump, because in the past, I mean, it has sales range drops upwards of $90. So we know that there's precedent for that. So we know that could happen. But if that were to happen, you probably would need to be the only prime seller on the listing, which looks like we have a couple of people here on the listing, so probably not. But yeah, this would be a great book to have picked up at base. I mean, if this book were $20, this would have been a great pickup. So I'm going to track it for $20, free shipping, and we'll move on from there. We got kind of juked out a little bit on that shipping price from that new seller. So here's a book that has dropped in price, but it's kind of just dropping back in price down to kind of what it's been selling for in the past. So we're going to go ahead and move on from that book. Same thing with that book. Same thing with that book. Okay, here's a book that has a new offer right around like 30 to 60. For whatever reason, this person in new condition is very volatile in whatever they're asking for. This book has dropped down to about $18. So I don't think there's quite enough margin on this book because of that new price. I mean, if there wasn't a new offer, if there wasn't a new offer that wasn't like almost always at like $25 to $35, then this is something that maybe we'd be looking at a little bit more. But for whatever reason, this new seller and Amazon doesn't want to show me those. There we go. So we got this guy at 20, and probably what we could do as well is look at the offers, because I want to see, it's probably just the same seller who's doing this. So I'm gonna look at the offers tab, and I'm going to look. It was a merchant seller, so I'm gonna go look. I'm just gonna look at new, and I'm gonna look at FBM only, include historical offers, and I'm trying to find the guy who has a ton of stock. Actually, honestly, looks like it's a whole bunch of different sellers that have kind of been low and high and low and high, but it's this guy who has 20. Yeah, I think it's this guy actually. So it's this Chu guy. It looks like he's been as low as 35. Now he's been up to 45 the last couple of months, but his stock quantity is 20. So carburetor book. Ooh. All right, this is a money book right here. This is probably gone already, honestly. This book just dropped down to $20. Is it available? Add to cart. Okay, not added. So that means someone already bought it. But yeah, this would have been, this is actually an amazing score right here. So look at the last 2,600 days of this book. This book has basically almost always been selling for over $100, even over $150. Like these last 4 or 5 sales were at $150. And then today, 6 minutes ago, someone just came on the listing at $19.99. And who is it? It's actually Books a Billion came on the listing. And you can see I tried adding it to cart, but it says not added. That means someone already bought it, which makes sense. This dropped 6 minutes ago, and if you're on Keepa deals, like if a crazy deal like this comes out and you don't buy it in under a minute, it's probably gone either by someone else's software or somebody else who's just really fast on it. But let's go ahead and put in how much money you would have made on this book, because that's actually crazy. I would say you could probably assume to sell this book for $150, like very easily. So you'd be buying this for about $25. You'd have sold this for $150. So yeah, you would have made $94 on this book. And this book probably would have sold pretty quickly as well. So, and when I say quickly, I mean like 3 to 6 months, which for me seems pretty quick, which for a lot of people doesn't. But if you want to sell quicker, you could obviously list it at a cheaper price. So amazing deal. Unfortunately, we couldn't buy it. Okay, interesting book here. I guess not too interesting. This book sells for right around like $20, and now it's right around $20. So we're gonna keep moving on. All right, let's see what else we got here. We have My Side of the Mountain here. Oh, this book actually looks really good. This actually looks really good from first glance. All right, let's take a look, a little bit deeper dive on Amazon here. So this book has been pretty cheap over the last, like this whole month, actually. It's been right around like $10. But what's really interesting about this book is that in the past, it has sold for upwards of 90. Like back here in February, we actually see 2 sales range drops when the lowest used price was $95. So that's really good news. And then we see some sales range drops when this price is right around 50. So I probably wouldn't try to sell this book for $100, but I probably would try to sell it for like 40 to 50. And right now you can pick it up for about nine bucks. So things like this, you want to look into the past. This looks like an old book. Like this came out in the 1960s. So this is a super old book. Notice that this book has been dirt cheap before like it is today. And let's see, is there any history of it? There's quite a bit of a history selling here from the 20s to 30s, which is good. Back here, it looks like it has sold upwards of 140. That would have been back in 2017. So this book definitely can ebb and flow with offer count. But again, I mean, there's sales rank drops upwards of 50. So this is something that I'd probably try to sell for like $39.99. And you can pick up a copy for as low as $6 free shipping. Now, these are acceptable conditions copies. So you can see there's actually like 4 or 5 sellers at this really cheap price. So if you wanted a very good condition from half price books, you'd have to pay, what would that be? Like $10 for this. So yeah, if you could pick this up for 10, sell for like I would buy the very good condition copy. I mean, these ones fairly warm for, I mean, if you were to buy them, they're probably somewhat decent and you could probably still sell them, but this is acceptable offer, right? Yeah. So this is something that honestly I would buy at $10 because I would try to sell it at 39. Again, we see sales range drops upwards of 100. We see them as, you know, in the $50 range. We've also seen them really low. So this is a book that has been all over the place. But I think at $39.99, that's something that you could probably move this book at. And we'll look at historical offers for the prime sellers in used condition over the last 365 days. You can see that the most recent person who went out of stock was actually Pine Like at $65. So that's like $30 more than what we're trying to sell ours at. This person went out of stock at 54. This person went out of stock at 54 as well. This person went out of stock at 44, and maybe even potentially up to 130 if we go to all. Yeah, this person went out of stock at 134, 25, 25, 20, 20. So it's kind of all over the place, but I think you could probably pretty easily sell this book for $39.99 in prime condition, especially considering that the buy box is actually $49. So I'm going to track this book for, we'll say $10, including free shipping, and we'll just get rid of the acceptable copies. All right, so I think that's a good book to pick up. All right, let's see what we got over here. Hey, what's up, Nils? I'm watching from Germany, first time watching live. Awesome, man. I'm glad that you're able to join the stream. When Victor says, when Jerry says, oh, you know this book is going to be good. Yes, that Godzilla book would have been, that would have been a crazy book to snag if you could have got it. Even this book is honestly pretty crazy because potentially, let me make sure I'm still, yeah. Potentially, I mean, like I said, those people kind of more recently were going out of stock for 54. I mean, that's a $27 profit on $10 buy cost. So, you know, I think that's also a good deal as well. It's kind of like a bread and butter book, honestly. Like, those are the books that I like to buy. All right, this book is interesting. This is an NCLEX book. So this is definitely for, I believe, for college. And you can see that there's been a repricing war going on here between a couple of sellers. This is now down to about $7. I would argue that this is undervalued. Now, not a ton. It's not like you're probably going to make a killing on this book, although you could. Let's see. All right, so the most recent sell was actually during this repricing war. Someone bought a copy for right around $7. But before that, we have some sells in the $30 range. We have this sell, which was probably at $60. And then we have another sell up here at 50. But generally, this book is probably selling in the $30 range. And if you go back into time, yeah, this book has pretty consistently sold up to 60. This book looks like it's super old, honestly. This came out in 2006. This has been out for over a decade. Well over a decade, actually. Almost getting close to 2 decades now. I don't see a newer edition of this book. This looks to be very niche. Like, we could Google it, see if there's maybe this is the, what are we looking at right now? This is the 4th edition. So maybe this is the 5th edition. This is actually the 6th edition. Okay, wow. So there's actually a 5th and a 6th edition of this book. And honestly, I want to look at that book. So let's go ahead and go to Amazon. Let's look up the 6th edition book. Let's see what we got. And there could potentially be even when did this come out? This also came out in 2006. That's kind of peculiar. How would the 3rd and 6th edition come out the same year? It's kind of weird. I don't know. But this book obviously has a better sales rank. It's also right around $30 selling at that. And yeah, this would be a great book to track as well. It can get pretty cheap as well. Um, but yeah, this is really interesting. I'm wondering now if there's a 5th edition as well. I would bet. I mean, there should be. I'm going to basically just Google the same title and I'm going to type in 5th. For whatever reason, the 6th edition comes up and not the 5th edition. Okay, there's the 5th edition. So we have this is weird. We have a 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition. Now, this one's buy boxing at 85, even though the lowest merchant price is $4. But this book has sold upwards of $45 at the lowest used price. So this book could even potentially be quite undervalued as well. So honestly, with this buy box being so inflated, this is interesting. This person went out of stock at $5.69. That's kind of crazy. Yeah, with this, I don't know. This book is interesting because it has multiple editions and they all look like they sell. But going back to this first one over here, I think this, considering that it has up to this year still been selling well, this is something that I would pick up a couple copies, especially since you can pick them up for about $10. So you got about a couple copies here for about 10. So 1080. I would try to sell this for probably like $39.99. I think that's a reasonable price to get for this book. So if it were me, I would buy a couple copies of that book. Now, interestingly, the 5th edition of this is also really cheap. It's been cheap for a while as well, but it also has some pretty good historical sales, right around like 20 to 30. So ironically, the Keepa chart on the 5th edition doesn't look as good as it does on the 4th edition. So I might only buy maybe one copy of this, but let's see, what would you end up paying? You'd pay $8 for this book. And this is something that I'd probably try to send and probably also try to sell for like $39.99. So try to pick this up for about $9. So I think those are both books that I would buy, honestly. Now, what's weird is that the 6th edition book is also out, and its price has definitely been a little bit more consistent. It looks like it's also selling better. So potentially this would have been a good pickup down here at $10 if it was free shipping. So yeah, interesting book there. All right. So let's keep on moving along. Certified Coding Specialist CSS exam preparation. So look at this. Basically, actually a new third-party seller came on this listing at $30, and it looks like some of the used offers actually adjusted, accordingly, and so they dropped down to 25. But this book had sold 5 or 6 times for over $70 in the past. 2021, this was selling for over $200, which is kind of crazy. And you can see that happened right after Amazon went out of stock. So this is an interesting book to look at because I think these books generally come out in new editions like somewhat recent or like somewhat frequently. And I know that some of these books can also be counterfeits. So let's see if I can even sell it to start with. So I can. I want to throw this into the book runs counterfeit probability check though, because I feel like this is a book that can be okay. It says unlikely to be counterfeit, but let's go and take a look to see if there's any large dives in the Keepa graph. So I don't see any large like drop off of cliffs in the Keepa graph either. But this book has definitely slowed down in terms of how fast it's selling. In one way, you can tell that also not only by the sales rank not being so great, like not dropping so often, but you can also see that the review count here isn't really changing much. Like it went from 90 to 91 over the last year versus when this book was being sold by Amazon. Like how the review count went from like 18, 20, 30, 40, 50, like it was being sold much more frequently. So the fact that this book was selling so quickly for $70 or $80 in the past, but is also $70 in this past year and hasn't sold very often, tells me that this book probably is getting to the end of its livelihood. So you could probably still pick it up, but it's something that I'd probably pass on. There's better books. Okay, Leonardo da Vinci. Here's an interesting book for you. This is definitely something that I would be considering picking up. Let's take a look at this, and then we'll probably get to end out the stream, answer some questions, and we'll go from there. All right. So it looks like we have maybe 4 offers that are really low. So we have 3 offers at 25. Then we got one at 30, and then we go up to 50, 60, then 80. So this book came out in 2012, and what's really interesting is that the new price of this book basically went all the way down to about 26 bucks. So that would have been great to pick up. The last 3 sales were right around $78. So that's good. The sales rank of this book is a little bit weird. It's kind of not dropping, but you do see the review count of this book going up. So that could be because of the paperback, it probably is because of the paperback. Let's see if this is the same book or not. Draw/Borders. Is that the same book? I don't think it's the same book, but because these listings are attached, the ratings and the reviews from this paperback are also going to go towards the overall review count. But even over here, it's not selling too much. Honestly, it probably is selling more than what Keepa is showing, because offer count is changing quite a bit more than what the sales rank is showing. So, but yeah, this Leonardo da Vinci book, I think it's undervalued. Like if you look in 2021, 2020, like this book was selling for over $100. Like these are all sales rank drops, basically at 100 or more. And when did this came out in 2012, I think, right? Yeah, this came out in 2012. So even in the past at a higher offer count of like 26, this was still selling. I mean, the lowest use price was still 45. Then you have a bunch of sales at 100. So this looks to be a very niche book, right? Like, but it looks like people are still willing to pay upwards of 75 to 80. So honestly, this might be a book that I would buy one copy of, send it to Amazon, the other 2 copies, put it on a shelf, because historically this book really hasn't ever been any cheaper than that. Like, I guess there was a period of time in 2019 where it was close to this, but it never really has been this cheap. So this is, again, something I'd probably send one copy to Amazon. The other copies I'd probably sit on a shelf and let sell for 80. So interesting book there for sure. All right, this is the last book we're going to look at. This is a book that I definitely probably would buy as well. Let's open this up. So you can see that the price of this book just dropped off a cliff, right? It was $190. It dropped down to $767. The most recent sell looks to be actually at $193, which is crazy. Or actually, what could be more likely as well is, notice that when the offer count changed here from 9 to 8 and then from 8 to 5, the price went from 95 to 190. And so the sales rank, like Keepa may not have been tracking this book. And the reason why very frequently, the reason why I say that is that this buy box use price is kind of sporadic. There's really long distances, like time periods between when the buy box was tracked, which means it could be possible that the sales rank actually dropped back here. And so this book could have sold for 95. But in any case, let's, where's the book? Where's this book at? I thought I opened it up. Oh, I did open it up. Okay. So we have an offer from Glenn the Bookseller, basically at $11. Next offer is at $183. I don't think any of these offers are likely to sell, but this book does look like most recently has sold in the $60 range. So this would be a great pickup. It looks like, there's tons of historical data to suggest this could sell for about 45 to 50. Also, tons of historical data to suggest that you could have picked this book up for about $4. So this is 100% a book that would be a gold mine to track. And there's actually nobody tracking this book. So this is actually going to be a bread and butter book for years to come, because there's a whole bunch of historical data to suggest, hey, you can pick this book up for $5 and then you can flip it for 40 or maybe even $50. So I'm going to track this book for whenever this gets to $12 free shipping or less. Probably think about picking up a copy. So yeah, add to cart. It's still there available. So if you don't buy that, I'm going to buy that after the stream. But yeah, I'm going to basically buy that for 11, and then I probably just try to send it in and sell it historically for what it has sold for, which is in the recent past, which is $59. So I'll probably try to sell it for $59.99, and that'd be a great pickup right there. It'd be a 267% return. And honestly, that's, yeah, a lot of the books I buy are just like that. Okay. Victor says I would buy it. Yeah. So listen to Victor. If Victor says he would buy it, then you should buy it for sure. All right, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and end out the stream now. Yeah. Hope everyone's doing well out there. I'm glad that, 14 people were here. I think it was up to 19 as well. So a lot of people checking out the channel. I appreciate that. Hopefully everyone's able to get, snag some good deals on Flipline, Keepa deals, Keepa track product feature, reverse sourcing, There's so many ways to find books. It's crazy. But let's see. You're welcome, Rosemary. Appreciate the education. You're welcome. Glad that it's helpful to you. Hopefully sales are going well for you. Hopefully you're selling some books there. Ooh, good question. Now, over time, how are your long-term fees? I think just recently I got hit with a long-term storage fee of like $80. I think I have 100 books that are over a year old. So I have books that have been out for a while. And actually, I just filmed a video yesterday about setting up Be Cool's conditional repricing rules, which is to change the minimum price, like my min prices, the ROI of my min prices, as we get to 6 months, 9 months, and over a year. So it'll be interesting to see how that does. But yeah, I mean, I paid about, like I said, I think it was like $80 in long-term storage fees, which honestly is actually not bad at all. Like my average sell price of a book is $76. So if I sell 2 books, basically it pays for the long-term storage fee. So I know a lot of people are really worried about long-term storage fees, and I think it makes sense, especially if your books are a little bit cheaper. Like if your average sales price is 15, but if my average sales price is like 78, then you know, I only have to sell a couple books in order for it to pay for that. So it's totally worth it for me. You're welcome, Josh. Have a good one. Everyone go check out Josh's YouTube channel. You're welcome, Bob. Have a good one. When is Romer's video coming out? So I'm going to film the interview with Romer the Romer, or Avery. I'm going to film that with him on Monday, and then hopefully the week after. So if you didn't know, I actually hired a video editor, everyone, which is really exciting because I love creating content. I do not like editing, nor am I very good at it. So I did hire an editor, and I've put out a couple of YouTube shorts so far on YouTube. I've put a couple Instagram reels out. There's going to be an interview with John Mascarello, the side hustle experiment. So that should be dropping probably on Monday or Tuesday of this week. And then we should have Avery's interview drop in the following week. And then I'm going to be in Vietnam for 3 weeks, everyone. So I'm going to be kind of piecing out for a little bit. So I might be behind the scenes a little bit, but yeah, this helps my confidence because I second guess myself a lot. Good. The best learning experience is just doing, right? You're going to make mistakes. So I would just say, make sure you're searching around, make sure your gut feeling tells you that this is a really good deal. If you think it's a really good deal, try to follow the 3X rule. Do you have a reasonable assumption that you can sell this book for 3 times more than you're buying it for? And if so, you're probably going to be okay. And you're going to make mistakes. I made mistakes, but as long as most of the books you buy are great buys, then you should overall come out ahead. Yeah, I don't mind long tail. I love long tail books. Hit that like button, says Liz. Let's go. Have a great time in Vietnam. Thank you so much. By the way, if you want to join the Discord, I have a free Discord channel. If you want to go ahead and join that. Feel free to do that. What else? I also have a newsletter. If you want to join the newsletter, feel free to join that as well. And if you want to support the channel, the easiest way are my affiliate links. So I got Flipmine, SellerAmp, Be Cool. That's the easiest way to support the channel. Because if you're going to use the software anyway, then if you got any value from my channel, then feel free to help me out as well. So that's all I got for everyone. See you later, Optimus. Have a good one, man. And everyone have a lovely weekend. Source some books, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.